Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night, a little bit after 9. Sorry, I was looking for some more sound clips. Couldn't find it. Oh, well. But with me, as always, except when he's not, like last week was, is my big brother Rich, Big Bro Scho. How you feeling this week?
I am recovering. Not doing too bad. I think I've already had my coughing fit for the evening.
Okay, good.
About 6 o'clock. So hopefully that's done.
As soon as you say it, here it comes.
No, it's interesting with this. It's like I can feel every day I feel a little bit better, but man, it's just baby steps. So, but doing all right.
Yeah,
of course, I picked a beautiful time to get sick. I mean, gee whiz, I get sick and the Steelers go nuts.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to dive into. Yes, we're continue going through position by position. I'll be honest with you, we counted up the weeks. We're probably going to have to, I think I know what we're going to do. We're going to have to combine a couple of them in the future here because we're going to want to finish up before the draft. And we have our 2 special shows that we do before the draft. We got to do those, right, Rich? Where we do our own mock draft live on the show. 1 week, and then the next week we just kind of hit a summary of the mock draft Mondays. I know you don't like to hear the word.
You said mock draft, and I got a twitchy eye going.
Yeah. Hey, at least we're waiting until really close to the draft because honestly, there's still a lot that can shape it up. So we're going to get to the safety position here after a bit, but we've got to talk news. And as much as anything now, I want to give you a chance to talk. I did some talking. Let's see, when the Kenny Pickett news broke, I was also on our Saturday late morning breaking news show of our source letting us know that the Justin Fields that was off the table is now back on the table because of everything that happened with Kenny Pickett, which made perfect sense. I don't think that was earth-shattering, that something that wasn't going to work before now might be good, now might be back in play. And honestly, Rich, I haven't got a chance to talk since the trade actually went down with what the Steelers had to give up. So we'll get to all that. I want to give you an opportunity. You want to start from the very beginning, a very good place to start. Well, not the very beginning, because that's 1933. I guess Russell Wilson? You haven't even been around for Russell Wilson. Last week, Jeremy Betts, Faux Bro, filled in great. It was a lot of fun, but we definitely missed you. And we talked quarterback, and then most of that talk was out of the window by the weekend.
I know. It's crazy.
So we can do quarterback again if we wanted to. But
I can give just a couple real quick things in there.
Yeah.
First of all, Russell Wilson signing, honestly, if he wanted to come to Pittsburgh, it's a no-brainer because he's being paid the bulk of his money from Denver. So come on over, Russ, and let's see what you got left. Loved the move. Had no issue with that move. Not a problem.
He could have gone anywhere he wanted. It wasn't going to earn him any more money, and he chose here.
Right. This was all about location. Where did he want to go? What team and what coaches did he want to play for?
Yeah.
That's okay. So he said, yep, let's go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So that was in and of itself. So then let's go ahead and then skip around. So that, then we had the news that one. Nope, can't do it anymore.
Can't do it.
Can't do it anymore.
Can't do it.
The Steelers' former recent first round draft pick at quarterback said
20th overall.
Said, you know what? Maybe I'm not so cool with that. Maybe we should think about if I should really be here or not. And let me tell you, like that, he was gone.
Yeah, it did not take much. I equated it to me getting mad when the Steelers lost to the Texans, being upset at the situation, throwing my tickets for the next week on Ticketmaster, and then before I had a chance to change my mind, they were gone.
Yeah,
that was Kenny Pickett. I keep saying this, and I'm doing all that I can. Hopefully, this show will do it. I don't want to keep talking about Kenny Pickett because he's not here.
I don't either.
Okay,
nope, that was it. The only thing I wanted to talk about was just how quickly, it was
Yeah.
done. Which actually could get me into my whole. If you like rabbit holes, I got a small one. Although I can make it a quick rabbit hole to go down.
If you want to.
Okay, so imagine this. Now, I'm not saying this is how it was, but I could just imagine this. Let's backtrack.
Okay.
Let's backtrack earlier in the season when we had all had it up to over our heads with Matt Canada, and everybody wanted to see him gone, including Coach Tomlin, who had to go in and get management to sign off on, the firing of Matt Canada.
Mm-hmm.
What's the chances that some of the discussion there was, Coach, let's do it. But Coach, let's talk about this. If we're going to do this, if we're going to change the way we do business, then you need to change the way you do business. You often talk that you want volunteers, not hostages, but yet there are times when we really try extra hard to smooth things over with some players, and we're done with that. If someone says, you know what, maybe I went out, all they have to say is the word maybe I went out, and they're out.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like, well, I think with this offseason, especially on offense, it's a little bit easier to clean house because you brought in an outside offensive coordinator and some other coaches. I mean, look at wide receiver, easy to do that. New offensive coordinator, new wide receivers coach. Even quarterback. Yeah, Mike Sullivan's around in a different role, but you have a different quarterbacks coach. So if you're going to make changes, now's not a bad time to make them. I will say this. I said it in the live chat during the Q&A, and I'm going to try to, now that I can say it a little bit more, see if I can say it in the right way that I did there. Because I did when you type it up and you take the time to type it and hit send, you can really, don't want to do like Herm. I don't have it in front of me. Maybe you do. When you type things out, you have the opportunity to
don't press in.
There it is. Okay. You have that chance. But I was able to shape up what I was really wanting to say. And it was when Kenny Pickett was on the Steelers roster, I wanted to look at what he could be because the Steelers drafted him for what he could be. You do that with a lot of draft picks. Let's look at Joey Porter Jr. He had a great season, but you're still looking at what he could be because your plan for him is beyond now. Now that Kenny Pickett's not on the roster anymore, I don't look at what he could be. I'm only looking at what he was. And what he wasn't good enough to make all these other things possible. Now, did I still say maybe he can be? Maybe he needs to get away from that Canada? One thing that I said last week, and now it's false, was now we'll get an answer. Was it Matt Canada or was it Kenny Pickett? You had to remove one of them to see how the other one was. Well, now they're both gone. So you know what? Now we don't even have to worry about it one bit. So moving on. And that brought Justin Fields back into play. What do you think of that?
Well, let's see. I'll liken it to what Jefferson Bartholomew Hartman said when, basically we sent Kenny Pickett to Philadelphia for a bag of peanuts. Basically, then for Justin Fields, we had to give up a bag of salted peanuts.
Oh, I was going to say we gave up a half a bag of peanuts or something like that. Or even worse, circus peanuts.
Circus.
We gave up circus peanuts for Justin Fields.
Dave, you kept saying all along, you just kept saying with Fields, you kept saying, I don't mind it, but I don't want to give up draft capital for this year. Don't want to give up draft capital. Well, they did it and didn't give up any draft capital this year. So there you go.
I'm like, why make a move when you also have to give up draft capital? For example, right now with a lot of speculation with Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver. Well, first of all, he's going to cost a lot, but second of all, you're going to have to give up draft capital to get him. I'm like, I would rather have, now the pickings are getting slimmer out there, but I'd rather have someone that's a free agent that you just have to sign, not sign and give up draft capital. So what they do with Justin Fields to give up draft capital, the next best thing of not giving up draft capital, and that was not give up any this year. And not even give up high draft capital next year. Because the most it's going to be is a fourth. So no matter what, it's a day 3 pick. Wow.
Yep.
Would you have imagined that 3 weeks ago?
No.
Well, I mean, first of all, that the Steelers quarterback room, the question, I mean, so many times the question was, should it be Justin Fields or should it be Russell Wilson? And, you know, I have Bears fans and other fans that text me and stuff like that. And one of the guys I know that's a Bears fan, he was texting me. He's like, Justin, I'm like, Russell Wilson makes more sense for the Steelers. I said this a week plus before any of it happened. I'm like, he's so much cheaper. You don't give up any draft capital. It makes so much more sense. And they're like, but you really think that Wilson's better than Fields? I'm like, well, based on what you got to give up for him, I'd rather have the 7-time Pro Bowl or Super Bowl champion that may or may not still have it to go with Kenny Pickett rather than another player drafted in the first round that you have to make a decision on their 5th-year option. You know, 2 of those are not good. So I got to ask, is it a fly or is it a stink bug? I see, or is it a bee? I see something swarming.
It's a wasp.
Rich is getting attacked.
I'm like, live. I'm like, we had snow on the ground this morning, and I got a wasp flying around in here.
Yeah.
Yes, we had snow on the ground this morning.
So my thing is, I never would imagine that the Steelers did both and had none of the guys from last year. It still feels like a video game to me. I can't, in my mind, picture the middle of September. I mean, even August in the preseason, and seeing these 2 quarterbacks actually on the field for the Steelers. I can't envision it right now. It just almost doesn't seem real. It's crazy. Like I said, I was not a big fan of the Justin Fields thing. I am cautiously optimistic of both players. I am leery of the Ohio State quarterbacks. Because they generally don't have much success in the NFL. But I'll ask you this. How great is it that all your eggs aren't just in one basket?
That is actually a good thing.
That's the thing with me, is you've got 2 and you just need one of them to get the job done. Man, isn't it good? And people are like, well, what if they're both really good? That's a great problem to have. You know, I
cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. And someone says, come on, Stroud is good. You've got a 1-year sample. And what's crazy, CJ Stroud is very good. CJ Stroud, after 1 season in the NFL, is likely the best Ohio State quarterback to ever play in the NFL. Because he had to surpass Mike Tomczak. Because before that was the best Ohio State quarterback in the NFL. So Stroud is good, but, you know, just like anybody, Chase Claypool was really good for the Steelers in 1 year as well, wasn't he? You've got to continue to keep doing it. So, Kathy asked an interesting question. I'm going to ask you this one, Rich. How would you compare Fields to Haskins?
Similar. I think their games are a bit similar. Their careers kind of.
They were I think Fields was 11 and Haskins was 15 where they were drafted.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same kind of feeling with the 2 of them.
I'll be honest with you. They both played on bad teams.
Yep. I
think Fields has a wider range of his play, meaning higher floor, lower ceiling, because he had some bad habits and really turns the ball over that could really be bad. But you also see flashes that could really be good. The question is, which Fields are the Steelers going to get? Are they going to be able to tune in and, you know, fine tune to get one of them? So, but unfortunately, we never got to see the full Haskins effect. That's still quite sad. All right. We're taking an awful long time. I don't want to. This isn't a quarterback show. We did that last week, but my goodness, so much stuff has happened. Anything else you want to say about that situation?
Nope.
Yeah. Some people were chiming in the live chat with some very good stuff.
Although you know what? I will say this.
Says Haskins better arm, Fields more mobile. Perhaps.
Yeah. I will say this. Everything that's happened. So my plan this year was potentially not going to training camp. And ironically enough, without even talking, the men's basketball coach that I typically go with from the college,
Mhm.
was
Yep.
thinking the same thing. Okay. Sunday, he texts me. He's like, looking like we're going to have to go to training camp now. I was like, yeah, we're probably going to have to.
Yeah. 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 And it's funny because some people are not happy about this. They're like, "Oh my goodness, you really think either of these quarterbacks are going to work out?" You know what? They're like, "There's no guarantee there's going to work out." Lots of conversation in the comments in one of the articles today at steelcurtainnetwork.com where I was having this. I'm like, there's no guarantee any free agent or draft pick will ever work out.
Yeah.
That's how it works. There is no guarantee. You know what? But I also think Steelers fans, there was no guarantee that Kenny Pickett was going to be any good this year either.
Yeah.
A lot of Steelers fans thought there was more of a guarantee that he wouldn't. You know, some fans might feel that there's a guarantee that neither one of these guys are going to be any good this year. That's how you feel. The thing is, we haven't seen him in a black and gold uniform, so that's what we're going to have to wait to see. All right. Let's hit the other big free agent signing for sure.
Yep.
And the other trade real quick before we take a break. What are your thoughts on Patrick Queen?
It's always fun to take away from the Ravens.
Yep. Yeah.
But let me tell you what, he's a guy that really seems to want to be here. And that's huge. We now, you take a look, we'll wait for another time. I don't want to go too deep in it because we still got that position to talk about
Yes.
in the next few weeks.
Yes.
So really just thought it was good, thought they organized the contract in the right way. Patrick Queen was happy. The Steelers were happy. Everybody seems happy. Let's get to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, well, he didn't really come around until Roquan Smith. You know what? Maybe Roquan Smith made him better. But you know what? You expect players, especially that young, to get better. He's only 24 right now. He'll be 25 playing this year.
Yeah,
that's
sick.
Yeah. So you would expect them to get better. Unfortunately, the inside linebacker that the Steelers had that was young, that didn't happen and stuff. So once again, I don't even know that I'm cautiously optimistic. To me, he's a player on the rise. All you have to do is not be the place that sets him back. That you just need to be the place that allows him continue to grow. Yeah. That's what the Steelers need to do with Patrick Queen. We will get into that more when we have not hit inside linebackers. I asked if you wanted to do them before free agency, and you specifically wanted to hold off. We didn't do them this week because I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to combine stuff, because I thought we might have to combine inside linebackers, but I don't think we're going to have to now. But that was one. We'll talk about. Obviously, we'll get to Deshaun Elliott here after a little bit. What about trade? The other trade, trading Deontay Johnson, moving up from a 7th to a 6th, and getting back Dante Jackson.
There are a lot of folks I know that were upset, thought maybe we should get more for Deontay Johnson. I'm fine with what we got back for him. Just another one of those where I think it was he wavered a little bit and the time was right, so the Steelers move on.
Yeah. Like I said, I did not feel like this was a move that made the Steelers better on the field. But it was one that was necessary more because of off the field. If he's not the right guy in the locker room, the Steelers still are not better at the wide receiver position right now. That's interesting of how that's going to play out. I still think there's many things to see. That's why it's very popular right now in the get ready to have your eyes start twitching in the mock drafts, to have the Steelers drafting a wide receiver in the first round because of this trade. But, sometimes that's the knee-jerk reaction. As soon as the Steelers released Mason Cole, boom, they were taking a center in the first round. Things change here and there, boom, that's the reaction to it. There's still more to be played out. We'll see. There's going to be more going on there. was not a big fan of this trade. I didn't like the Steelers taking on more salary cap, only moving up from a 7 to a 6, moving on from Deontay Johnson. Reworking the deal for Dante Jackson to where now instead of being paid $10.5 to $55 million off the top of my head, he is now being paid $6 million. So still a hefty chunk of change, but much better, which that helps me look at things a little bit differently, especially if Deontay Johnson was going to hold in again this year. I don't know. Anything else you want to say about that one?
Nope.
All right. Anything else you want to say about free agency at all before we take a break and jump into safety?
No, let's take a break and get the safety.
All right, we'll take that break. If you're with us here live on any of the platforms, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us here on the audio side, stick around. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, Steelers fans, here we go. Let's get into it now. Different position each week. Safety was a safe pick for me this week because, like I said, we're trying. We ended up being 1 week short with trying to be able to do this. And I'm like, let's do that in case we need to double up on inside and outside linebackers. I don't know that we're going to have to do that, though. But so we could have gone inside linebackers because of Patrick Queen, but let's go safety because this one really is intriguing. Because the Steelers, they lost or not lost, they let go of Keanu Neal earlier in the or before the league year started, and the signing that they made was safety Deshaun Elliott. Now, real quick, I'm going to run down players who are safeties that are listed as safeties on the Steelers roster or on the website. I'm going to have to then go double check to make sure they don't have any safeties sticking in the DB category. All right, but you have, I forgot. The Steelers also brought back Miles Killebrew. That's depth there. That's important to remember. But the Steelers have Minkah Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, DeMonte KZ, Miles Killebrew, Trenton Thompson, Jalen Elliott. So they have two Elliots in the safety room, and there's one more here. Nathan Meaders, maybe is how you say it. As I go to check to make sure they don't have any of them listed as a defensive back. There's a Josiah Scott and a Kalen Barnes that were on rookie on futures deals that I don't know if they're corners or safeties. They're just listed as and Thomas Graham Jr. 3 players there. I don't know if they're corners or safeties. But regardless, those are futures guys. It all starts with Minkah Fitzpatrick, doesn't it, Rich?
Well, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it?
Yeah. So it seemed like last year the Steelers, they liked the 3 safety thing that they had going on late the year before with Minkah, Terrell Edmonds, and KZ once he came back from the broken forearm. And his first game back, there was no Minkah, and he had to start. You and I were at that game. We weren't sitting together, but we were both at that game. So did it ever feel like last year, then they added Keanu Neal. Did it ever really feel like they were using Neal in place of Edmonds and they were trying to do it the same way? It just never really worked out that way, did it?
No, it didn't.
And Minkah wasn't used the same way.
Right. Safety was okay last year, in my opinion, but they weren't able to do anything special with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just,
yes.
So,
Minkah can play anywhere, but he's not going to give you splash from everywhere.
Right.
Notice that if Minkah was playing more of the Terrell Edmonds type role of safety, the biggest thing on Edmonds is that he didn't create splash. We talked about that last year, didn't we?
Yep, we did.
But Minka, having to play more in that role, he kind of saw the same thing, didn't he? Now, granted, he missed 7 games, but still. This was his first season without an interception. So the question is, does Deshaun Elliott give the Steelers a better chance to get back towards that?
I don't know that I want to use the word better. It's a different chance because he's a little bit of a different type of player. So I think the thought is if you bring in somebody that plays a little differently, then maybe what you get when you mix, when you put that person with Minka, then is you get Minka able to do different things because the person he's playing next to does some different things than what was there before. So I don't want to say a better chance. I want to say they have a different chance. I don't know if it's necessarily better or worse or anything, but it's you've got a slightly different style of player in there, so things are going to be different.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. To me, I think Elliott makes it better than it was supposed to be last year.
I think so too.
We'll see if it gets back to 2022. Because I think the second half of 2022 was really something special. With Edmonds and Fitzpatrick, with KZ coming into that role as well. So, do you think the Steelers stick with DeMonte KZ? Because there's been some people that think, oh, maybe they should bring another safety and let KZ go.
They don't have to. Could they, if they see something that they like or say, oh, maybe we could this, that? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But they don't. It's not one of those that I look at as like, oh, well, they have to do this. It's like, no, they don't. They could stay put right where they're at, and I'd be okay with that.
Yes. And it seems like they have, because they had to add so many people last year because of all the injuries, it seems like they have more options. Now, there's 2 players that were on the team last year that are not on the team this year, other than Keanu Neal. I already mentioned him. And those are Elijah Riley's a free agent, and Eric Rowe. I mean, he's been a free agent since the Steelers were done because he was on the practice squad.
Right.
Do you see the Steelers bringing either of those guys back, or do you think they're good?
This is going to be another Dave answer. They can bring either of those guys back. I'd be fine with it. The room could stay right where it's at. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
I would understand why it does. So I don't know.
I mean, to me, an Elijah Riley would be some like Eric Rowe, because he's been around. He might be one of those guys that says, you know what, I don't want to sign with anybody now. I want to sit back and wait like I did last year. It worked out pretty good. Maybe that's the route he wants to take. To me, an Elijah Riley is someone you sign later if he's still out there, and you're signing for the minimum. And it's not really, as long as it's not really counting against your salary cap, then it's fine. Just do it. So, to me, adding somebody back at a minimum or close to a minimum salary isn't nearly as much as adding. I mean, even Miles Killebrew, granted, he's getting paid more for his special teams prowess. He still gives you depth at safety. He played over 100 snaps last year on defense. I think it was 111. I keep saying that was the most he's played since 2017 on defense. So
the other cool thing is they were a pretty good 111 snaps because you didn't notice him in a bad way. So the Steelers were putting him in and using him in packages where, it wasn't like somebody was trying to exploit something from him.
Yeah. Well, what I think is really funny is he started one game at safety. He got a start for the Steelers because he was on the field for the first snap on defense. And it was his only defensive snap in that game.
Nice.
Which was the very first. I want you to remember what game it was. I mean, I could look back; it'd be easy to find, but I'm not going to take time to do it right now. But it was one of those games where he started, but that's all he played. So I think it's good because even with Killebrew, you have someone that if you have to put out there, you're obviously looking at him more as an in the box type of guy. But if you have to call on him, he's going to know what he needs to do. It's not like he's going to be out there and be lost. So he brings a lot of value there. Really, really love him as a special teams guy. I mean, he's back. I mean, is that pretty much the most obvious captain for the Steelers next year?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't know. Cam and TJ are probably pretty obvious too. But I mean, you can say, well, what is Minka ever going to come in? Or, different players. Oh, is Najee going to be a captain? You can have some questions. I don't think there's any question with that one. With being the special teams captain, being the all-pro special teamer. Because I don't think, I mean, he's on the field more than Boswell. Boswell's pretty good too. But I tell you what, there's some people that would really like to see them add to the position, but it's all in how is Deshaun Elliott going to work out? What the Steelers showed last year, they pieced it together when things didn't work out, which was mainly because of injury. So do you think safety is something that the Steelers, is it on the table in the draft?
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. Cause,
I mean, I don't think it's something that's high.
Right. It's going to depend on circumstance.
Yeah.
But it's not a draft need.
It's not like they're going in there, they need to come out of this draft with a safety. So, the right answer is sitting right here. I hit the wrong one. There it is. Afton Ford says, everything is on the table. All depends on how things fall. Yeah. I mean, right now, there's certain things you're like, if the Steelers come out of the draft and they don't have this, where we sit right now, like center, we're like, there's problems. Okay. Safety is not one of those positions, but it still doesn't mean that they couldn't add anything. So,
yeah.
We haven't even asked. We'll get to the big question later. Is there anything else you want to say about safeties before we take a little bitty of a break?
You know what? No, because anything I say about that is probably going to lean more towards what we're going to get
towards
into
our question at the end.
Yeah, and yes. I don't want to lean into that yet. Yeah. So,
I will just say this on the field. That's one of the big things you got to do, right?
I will just say this. It will not surprise me if the Steelers make another move of some sort with safety. And it will not surprise me if the Steelers do not make some sort of other move when it comes to safety.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it really is one of those positions you're like, yeah, you could change something. So the Deshaun Elliott signing really did help the Steelers a lot because safety was a big question before that. So yes. I kind of like where they're going. Hey, that was a shorter segment. That's all right. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to have a little bit of non-Steelers talk. Then we'll get to our big question and everything. So once again, stick around. We'll be right back. All right, Steelers fans, here we go. This is our off-season tradition. We got to keep it up. Last week I asked Jerome about what sports he played. Don't want to ask you that because I know the answer. And there's a lot of these. It makes it tough because we know the answers for each other. But this is one that we might just have to think about a little bit. All right, this is really off the wall. What I'm going to do here. Okay, really off the wall. But there's a couple. My daughter, she likes to watch various videos of things. And there was something today, and I heard a song on the radio which made me think of one of them. And that is, I don't know if you're familiar with the actor Will Poulter. He was in the last Narnia movie. He was in the Maze Runner movies, the first, well, not all of them. If you haven't watched them, I don't want to spoil anything either. A number of different things he was in. He was also in a movie called We're the Millers. the Jennifer Aniston, and I
That's
can
the
never
one
remember
where
what all those guys have the same names.
That's the one where they pretend to be the family.
Pretend to be the family. Well, my daughter thinks the clip is just so funny because the song "Waterfalls" by TLC comes on, and he just busts into the one long rap in the middle of it, knowing it word for word. Okay, another one is several years ago on the Tonight Show. Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, he went on and performed because he knew all the words to the song Alphabet Aerobics. We're not going to perform anything, but Rich, looking back at some of these, especially old school hip hop kind of things, is name the most obscure song that you felt that if you needed to, you could bust into and know word for word that might actually impress some people that you knew such a thing. It could be a song or even part of a song, kind of like that was with the Waterfalls thing. I really got you, didn't I?
How obscure do you want to go?
Oh, I mean, you can, if it's a song or whatever, you could.
I mean, literally, Dave, you could probably name. I could probably name 50. I mean,
okay. And you know what? I find myself busting into these with my kids all the time. Various things are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't ask." Okay, I've already got an answer from somebody while I'm waiting for you. Pittsburgh Tommy said,
love that. That's a good one.
And Rakim.
That's a good one. Pittsburgh.
I got one if you want me to get you started.
Go ahead.
This is one that would probably count for you too. You ready?
Yes.
Children's Story by Slick Rick. Every word.
Yeah.
Every word. From beginning to end. I could do that one. I'm sure you could too.
The one that I love to get into. Tell a quick little story on this one. Mm-hmm. So I had Kyle with me in the Jeep, and he wouldn't participate because he was being a bum. This is when Alex was still in high school, and they were at band camp. So band practice that evening. They were all outside. I come into they were at the middle school. Come into the middle school with my Jeep, blasting
top down
and top down, and singing the chorus as poorly as I could of "Just a Friend" by Biz Markie.
That's my ringtone.
Yes, I did. So that one is always that was always fun, just because I love to bust into the to the chorus, and I always sing it poorly.
Yeah, Thomas Riley, he goes Gangster's Paradise. I'm like, let's see if you can get more obscure. Okay, Steel Chick 46 says Barney theme song. Let's see. Valley Ford says a German song. Rosen auf der Heiden. I could recite all the lyrics to Dragona d'Este, which is also known as the Numa Numa song. But here's another one. You want another one? Okay.
What's another one? Go for it.
Paul Revere by the Beastie Boys.
Well, yeah, but that's not obscure enough.
No, what are you talking about? There's plenty of people that are like, okay, which one's that one? Oh, here's a good one. Pittsburgh Toddy, another one. 5 Minutes of Funk by Houdini. I bust into that one every once in a while.
Pittsburgh Toddy, we should get together because you come up with some good songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I have that on cassette tape.
Yeah, on cassette tape. Okay.
Sorry, right now I'm scrolling through my
your playlist to see what you can
find.
actually
just scrolling through Sirius XM. Last night, Kyle and I sat around.
A minute left. Oh, here, see, but this one is true. because this one always gets turned up anytime it comes on in my car, and that's Renegade. And my daughter gets upset. Oh, she was in the van with my wife, just the two of them, and it came on, and she would turn it up. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "How dare you turn it up on her?" She's like, she knows better. It's so funny because Retro Ritter says Ice Ice Baby. I almost use that as an example of like, you can say something like Ice Ice Baby, most people know it. How about Q-Tip solo during Groove is in the Heart?
Well, okay. I was going to go with I Get Around by Digital Underground featuring Tupac.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Yep, that's a good one. Okay. So where you could just say, where you're like, wow, did you just bust into that and know the whole song? So, yeah.
I've got too many songs where I know the whole song. Like there's just too many. And rap songs, old songs. I mean, last night Colin and I sat around and I was just scrolling through my Sirius radio, and I'd give him, 30 seconds of a song, see if he could figure out who sang it or what it was. And he's getting pretty good. So,
see, then I find myself finding just parts of songs that I can remember, just parts of songs that I wish I could could remember the whole song. Like I bust into Special Ed on the Magnificent all the time. Criminal Minded by KRS-One is another one. These are things you would look at me and you're like, do you even know that song?
I like, and Kyle likes this one too. And this would be BDP, Boogie Down Productions, which has KRS-One, Stop the Violence.
Mm-hmm. And so to wrap this up, since our 5 minutes is up, Gotta love Steel Chick 46. I hate to admit this, but most NSYNC.
Hold on.
Wife. My wife, who for her 45th birthday this summer, I already got her tickets to go see New Kids on the Block.
Okay, now
the only condition was I don't have to go.
Hold on, there was one. Okay, I'm going to bring this one up because I got to bust on this one a little bit. All right. Steel Dog Ace, Baby Got Back. Only rap song I can sing word for word.
That's Steel Dog, not even close to his best song.
That's not even a rap song. Yeah, not even close. That's just where that's where Mix-a-Lot sold out at the very end to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So
but also, if Steel Dog 88 is, younger than me, it would make sense.
Here's a good.
If he's older than me and your age, then it would. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Here's a good obscure, nice.
Okay, we're done our 5 minutes.
I know, but you got to let me get this one in because I ended up doing it for college. How about the Jungle Brothers? Girl, what you waiting for?
Girl, what
you waiting?
Come
for?
on, jump up, freak the hustle. Okay. Yep. Steel Dog 88 says he's 36. That would actually make sense for his age. Yep,
it would.
That it would be, but to me, my hoopty is the best mix. Beepers is good too, but
Beepers pretty good.
Better, yeah. So, all right, just kind of goes to show a little bit, that we actually know our especially late '80s, early '90s hip hop. All right, Rich, we've got a little bit of time. Should I open it up for a couple minutes of questions before the big question? Or is there something else you would like to discuss?
I think you should have. Please, I think you should give some direction to the question. What? Oh, yes! Potty!
Favorite song.
Oh, my gosh.
Mr. Dabalina. Mr. Bob Dabalina.
Bob Dabalina. Quick funny story about that.
Cassette tape. You got it for me.
When I worked at William, I loved it. When I worked at William Mary, our director of housing operations, one time he was doing something trying to show us a closing spreadsheet, and he actually filled in a name and just made up a name, and he put in there Bob Dabalina, and I went off on it, and he was like, dude, you know that? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Let's bring her back. Gavin Anthony. says, is there any chance we get to center Brian Allen? I don't know. Right now, any center that comes in knows. I don't think the Steelers are going to pay a bunch for a center because I think the general knowledge is that the Steelers are probably looking for their future in the draft. So anyone else who comes in now you got to come in at a price tag and an understanding that you're just filling in until the next guy. And that's really hard to figure out unless they choose to just try to have the next guy be in free agency. But a lot of the centers are really all going. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about Brian Allen to say that. Okay. Let's see. Valley Four wants to know, is it a given that the Steelers should pick up the 5th-year option for Najee Harris? Najee Harris?
Yes.
Rich? Yes.
All comes
cheap.
While we're on this, I'll just bring it up. Song by Terminator X. It all comes down to money, whether it's rainy or snowy or sunny. Okay, it all comes down to money, and your 5th-year option for running back
they're in it for the cash. They're in it for the cash.
Not yep. So
yeah. For Najee Harris, his number's low. To me, it's a no-brainer. And you're still going to try to give him a different deal next offseason, especially after you see what happens this season. Based with that, if things don't go well, then you play that out and go from there. The bigger questions, I know a lot of people want to know about Justin Fields' 5th-year option. A lot of reports that the Steelers aren't looking to do it.
Nope.
Our inside person says they haven't ruled it out yet. I hope they do. I really do. I know some people are like, well, what are the Steelers going to do beyond this? You know what? The way things have gone down, you've just got to go at it for 1 year and you might have to reassess. So if both of the quarterbacks are so good, they're too expensive to stick around, it's a good problem to have. Yeah, so exactly. I saw Wes ask this earlier and I was going to bring it up and then I got sidetracked. So I'm glad you put this back in here, Wes. He says, Dave, I think Fields' biggest struggle is speed of going through progressions. Can this be improved by coaching? Going through progressions, let's just say this. It kind of depends on why. I'm sorry, it's going to be a Dave answer. But it kind of depends on why he struggles. Is it a slow processing of what he sees on the field to go from one to the next? Is it that he's not sure what he should be seeing? That's something that can be coached, because then you can build that up and say, if you're not seeing this, then move to this one. That, things like that. So it's a great question, Wes, that I don't think I'm anywhere close to capable of answering.
I would say this, Wes. I think that there's the possibility that he could get as much from the guy he's taking snaps next to as from a coach.
Yeah.
Like Russell Wilson might be able to help him immensely.
Yeah, so between him, I can't remember the name of the quarterback's coach, even Mike Sullivan working with stuff, Arthur Smith, there's going to be an opportunity. If it's something that can be improved, then trust me, they will work on it. But like I said, it really does come down to it. All right.
Yep.
All right. We got Marky D in the house. Steelers Nation Australia. Steelers to open at home? Might be too early of a question. I don't think they're going to open at home this year.
I don't think they are either.
I think they're going to be one of two places.
Go ahead.
Because I'm pretty sure that they play Denver on the road. So they would either be open in Denver or in Brazil.
Yep.
Against backup Kenny Pickett, because it's already been announced that Philly is the host team in Brazil. So if I were to guess, it would be one of those two. Now, that might not happen, but I think they're the two biggest chances.
Yeah, I'd put 45% on each of those and 10% that it would be a home game. There you go.
Okay. I might give a little bit higher than it'd be a home game. Just remember, they have 9 away and 8 at home this year. So right there. It's less than 50% odds. And especially after they finally got one last year, they're going to give him another one. We'll see. I'm trying to see if any of these. Sorry,
That has a
skip
question.
over your question if I don't see a question mark. That's the first thing I look for.
That's why the very next one was Sherry,
Okay.
and there is a bit of a question there. So,
okay. In my honest opinion, I need Fields to outplay Wilson because he's younger and could be the future. What do you think? See, that's what I was saying about Kenny Pickett last week. I said it would be better for the player who's younger and under contract longer to outplay Wilson. Well, Justin Fields right now isn't under contract longer, but he is younger. So, honestly, I'll say it again. I want to see great quarterback play. I don't care who it is.
exactly.
The best player just put the best player on the field. And I'm really glad that they're saying it's Russ right now. Now, doesn't mean that things couldn't change. Plans change. You know why? Kenny Pickett was supposed to be fighting for a starting spot, and now he's in Philadelphia. Obviously, plans change. So you have to remember that. Just because Coach Tomlin says it in March doesn't mean he has to hold to it in August. It's just how it works. But I like that for now, the questions are put to bed, and so many people want to give their opinion on if Russell Wilson's still got anything left or if he doesn't. You know what? If he does, the Steelers are in great shape. If he doesn't, the Steelers made sure they had another option. That's all that matters. All right. So looking if we have another one, we'll take two more questions and then we'll go into our big question. Interesting. From, I hope I didn't miss any other ones. John Malesko says, if Marcus Golden isn't brought back, do you take a flyer on Bud Dupree?
By the way, that was the next one I had seen. So
okay.
I think you did okay there. I don't. Could, don't have to. There you
go. My thing is, I'm fine if they go with either one of those guys for two. Well, but there's got to be two stipulations. One, know your role. Two, no, it's not shut your mouth.
That's what I
when it comes to asking for more money, shut your mouth. Okay, so know how you're going to fit in, and whoever would be cheaper. You know, coming. I mean, Golden was. I'm pretty sure was a vet min last year. I don't know if Dupree is that. I'm not breaking the bank on something like that because it's someone that you would hope you wouldn't have to use. Let's see.
Here's the next one I found.
I don't know
Maybe
where
you
that
had
was.
One
I
before that.
Okay. Do you feel Tomlin seems reinvigorated? Rich?
Something has changed, and when things
I think
change,
he's always like this.
people, he gets excited, okay. and there has been more change with the Steelers than there has been in the past few years. So he's seeming very excited. Now the question is going to be, what's he going to do with that excitement?
Yes. To me, I think Mike Tomlin's always in his element with these kind of things. So much so, make sure you check it, SteelCurtainNetwork.com tomorrow, 12:30. I've got unless there's news that bumps things around, I've got an article coming out about Mike Tomlin that could really get some good discussion going. Depending on how people fall on the fence with Mike Tomlin. So make sure you check with that. I'm going to answer one last question because this was the next one I saw. Reginald Rivers said, what's the cap space as of right now? As of right now, Reginald, I will tell you that I did a cap report this morning. My number is that they have $15.6 million. That does not include Van Jefferson, and that also does not include, who's the other one it doesn't include? I think it's Deshaun Elliott. Because we got a total number and years for him. I estimate him coming in just over $2 million the first year, but there hasn't been an official breakdown. That's assuming that it's structured like Miles Killebrew's was structured. I don't know if it will be or not. So whenever we get either of those, I'll do another salary cap update, but that's where it sits as of right now. Rich, you ready for the big question?
Question away, Dave. Question
okay,
away.
This is going to be interesting to try to form it up in the best way that I can, okay? Now, I'm not talking about if the Steelers bring back like an Elijah Riley or even an Eric Rowe or something like that. When it comes to the safeties, which we were talking about, or do the Steelers, you're going to have three options, Rich, and you're going to have three options in the live chat. Remember, for those of you that might have been new coming in here, wait for me to type the question in there before you answer, or else I'm not going to bring it up. I will bring, I'll bring it up. I got to bring this up because my buddy Chris says, "How fun has it been to write an article that's worthless by the time it's published?" With stuff, yeah, we had a number of articles that we had to like. All right, got to change those. Got to change those. Got to change those. So with all the crazy stuff the Steelers have been having. So, Rich, when it comes to safety position, not counting a return on a close to minimum salary, do the Steelers from now until training camp? Do the Steelers hold at safety? Do they do something more in free agency, or do they do something in the draft?
Yeah, I'm going with my gut here. I think they hold. I just don't. I just don't think. I think they look at it right now and they're okay with what they have. So I think the chances are higher that they hold than they do one of those others.
Yeah, I'm going to say, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, I'm going to pretty much agree with you. I have a feeling a lot of people might agree with that. I'm not ruling it out in the draft. And if you want to count an undrafted free agent, I think there's almost a guarantee they'll have one. But I still wouldn't be shocked if they could add a free agent if they felt like they had someone they wanted instead of KZ and let KZ go. I know that's a possibility, but rather than go that route, I am going to go hold as well. I'm okay if they hold. So here we go. Steel Dog 88 says hold. Steeler Chick 46 says they're going to add the draft. Okay, I can see it. It's a possibility. Steelers Pittsburgh says hold. George Teston says draft. Afton Ford says late draft. Okay. Wes says hold. He thinks they're doing a good job there. Here's a great here. This might be the best answer so far. Sorry to offend anyone else that did. Thomas Riley says hold.
It's a tie. Oh,
with Omar says anything is an option. Says that with Omar anything is an option. You never know. Kathy thinks that they could very well add a safety in the draft. Valley Ford says hold. Mark Tobin says hold. Jeremiah Yoder says ask King Kong. Mr. Woodside says hold, but you could see maybe a street pickup. So remember, I just said that anyone, even if it's an outside person that's at league minimum, I'm not really counting as adding as a free agent. But it's not someone to guarantee that, that's coming in that's assumed to even make the roster. Demetrios says day 3 draft. That's being specific. And honestly, if you're going to go safety, I think that wouldn't be bad. No one says draft most likely. Mark Tobin thinks there might still add another undrafted or not another, that they'll add an undrafted free agent. That's probably going to be it, which means pretty much holding. Ruben Stone says the draft, that they could go in the draft. So does Brian Williams. He says draft as well. So it's not set in stone, but I think that I'm not stressing about the safety position right now, which is really nice.
I'm comfortable with the room.
Yeah.
Which is a good place to be, because if I'm comfortable with the room, that tells me that if the Steelers, let me rephrase that a little bit. If the Steelers are comfortable with the room, that's we could do something if the right thing came along, or if things fell a certain way, or this or that. I'd be okay with that.
If you're gonna be like, oh wait, so and so's still out there. Oh, they're showing interest in coming here. I mean, there's still a lot of big name safeties out there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's still some, yes.
Yeah. So, but you know who else you thinks are in a really good shape? That would be Sherry Richards, because she said hold. But good old Marky D, Steelers Nation Australia, he says to add one in the draft. So
but if you're watching, you can see why he says draft.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Steel Dog 88 says this is a good question. Says, what about a UFL player? What's that fall under? Chances are a UFL player would be coming in at a minimum salary and wouldn't be assumed to make the roster. So to me, that's not a big enough move to say that they weren't really holding at the position.
Right.
If you really want to call it something else, you could, because it's funny. Wes said something here. It says, must say a lot about our organization when so many dudes want to play here. Wes, you might like my article tomorrow. Make sure you check that out. So, and Gavin Anthony, I don't know if we had him or not yet. He said hold. And Ruben Stone says, must say free agent because he says bring back Terrell. Would you be opposed to it, Rich?
Not opposed to it, but yeah. I don't think it's going to happen.
Once they signed Deshaun Elliott, I don't know that they would. So, yeah. Yep. All right. So it was great to be back with you again this week, Rich. It's weird because I haven't had any big news now for a few days. It's funny because Brian he's licking his chops when he took the over under of 3.5 players brought in by the Steelers since the last week's preview, that the Steelers already had 2. Well, then it's held still. So got to have 2 more before this time on Thursday, although we'll probably be a little bit earlier than this on Thursday. So it calms down and then it goes crazy. It calms down and then it goes crazy. So we'll just have to, I'm still waiting for the crazy. So make sure you're checking out all our other shows that are coming. We're trying to make sure that, we're each giving our own individual takes on stuff, but trying not to say the same thing. That's why it was kind of nice to talk safety position tonight, because that's not a big one that people are talking about with all the craziness going on. And as I said before, make sure you're checking out the website, steelcurtainnetwork.com. You can get all the podcasts there. Whew. Rich, what do you want to say to close us out here tonight?
I considered doing my Brian Anthony Davis impression to close us out tonight with the ever famous quote from Roddy Piper.
Yes.
But I will refrain.
You will refrain.
Here's where I'll close this tonight. I had a quick conversation with our dad tonight. Stopped by, saw him and mom, and he was asking about stuff, but he was driving me nuts with it a little bit. Okay, and some things were driving me nuts online. I actually was online, and a bunch of times I typed up a bunch of stuff, didn't press send.
Don't press send.
And don't press send, and just was like, you know what? Just let people
press send.
Just let people be people. Because, I find it interesting because there are people out there that are like, we're going into the offseason and the Steelers are just going to be the Steelers. They're not going to do anything. And, and they are. It has not been the same type of beginning to free agency that the Steelers have had in their recent history. And that did get a whole bunch of people, excited. And it made other people mad.
Yeah.
So you know what I've decided? I don't think it matters what the Steelers do. Some people are going to be happy, and some people are going to be mad. So I'm just trying to work through the fact that that's how it's going to be. But you know what I'm going to be? I've tried to take a very different approach at this because people have really hit me with the, oh, what did you think? They bring in Russ, then Kenny's gone, then Justin Fields trade, and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm excited. You know what I'm excited for? I'm excited for Steeler football. Can't wait.
Can't wait.